I live by the West Point Honor Code. I will not lie, cheat, steal, or tolerate those who do. David Vitter wouldn't last a day at West Point. It's time Louisiana demands a little integrity.
So this is a yes or no question for you first, Mr. Edwards. Will you raise taxes on individuals or businesses?
No.
You will not. Well, where's the money going to come from then?
We're going to squeeze as much cost savings as possible out of the way we deliver services in the state of Louisiana. We're going to look for efficiencies everywhere we can find them. We're going to make sure we explain the flexibility so that we can allocate cuts across a broader spectrum of the budget and not have to be confined by the statutory and constitutional dedication.
The choice for governor couldn't be more clear. John Bell Edwards, who answered our country's call and served as a ranger in the 82nd Airborne Division. Or David Vitter, who answered a prostitute's call minutes after he skipped a vote honoring 28 soldiers who gave their lives in defense of our freedom. David Vitter chose prostitutes over patriots. Now, the choice is yours.
Mr. Edwards, we'll begin with you. Growing the Louisiana economy is going to be key in helping to solve the budget crisis. However, as a state lawmaker, you were given a failing grade by the state's largest business association. On its annual legislative scorecard, the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry said you're one of the least friendly state lawmakers to business. They've also said that the prospect of an Edwards election should scare the business community. So the question is, will you raise taxes on businesses, and how will you work with the Louisiana business community if you are elected governor?
Well, Fred, first of all, I would point out that the Louisiana Association of Business and Industry actually failed about 90 legislators this year because...
Mr. Edwards, Senator Vitter, you have 30 seconds.
Well, Fred, the ratings you're talking about are lifetime ratings, nothing to do with just this year. John Bell has a lifetime rating from that organization of 27%. When I went to school, that wasn't just an F. I thought you got more points for putting your name right on the test. A National Federation, another small business group, National Federation of Independent Business, 25%. His lobby rating is lower than Mary Landrieu's, Mitch Landrieu's, Bill Jefferson. It's the bottom 10% this past year. That's not just an F. That is being hostile to small business.
Thank you, Senator. 15 seconds to respond, Mr. Edwards.
Well, I'll just tell you, Fred, I give 100% to my wife. That's who I give 100% to. Senator, you ought to try.
Thank you very much, Mr. Edwards. Thank you.
Well, as I said before, you can hurl nasty insults
we're moving on to the next topic.
The fact is, I was 15 years ago.
We are moving
on to the next topic.
To my family today.
Well,
and don't
Senator
you ever suggest otherwise.
I said 100%. 100%, Senator. You can never be 100% in that category.
We have to move on, Senator.
Louis Raymond.
Yes, Louis Raymond. I am a member
Is he credentialed? Okay.
In Sunday's paper, Representative Seabaugh was quoted as saying your administration's assertion that you had done budget cuts was a lie. It's obvious to me Mr. Seabaugh wasn't paying attention in class. But how do you respond?
Well, that's the same Mr. Seabaugh that said I didn't go to Ranger School. And this is about as ridiculous. And by the way, you know, Alan's been a legislator for a while. He ought to know better. I think he does know better. And if he knows better and he's willing to say such things, then certainly I'm not the one who's lying. The budget cuts actually have exceeded $600 million in state general funds since I've become governor. If you just look at the math, the $2 billion deficit that we inherited, in fact, it was more than $2 billion for the first full fiscal year. I told you we addressed that through about $200 million in savings, principally around Medicaid expansion. Also through raising revenue, but almost all of that revenue is about to fall off the books. There's a little bit that was permanent, and that difference was made up through cuts. And it exceeds $600 million. You know, I can explain it to Alan, I can't understand it for him. Yes, Sue.
You said you've been meeting with the legislative leadership for 2 years. Do you trust what they tell you? I mean, because you said that you got one thing from them one time and then they go back and change it. How much trust do you
Well, the thing is, I'm just.
Can you repeat?
Yeah, the question is, in my negotiations with legislative leadership, principally the House, how much trust do I have in what they tell me? I have pretty good level of trust in what they tell me. They just don't often tell me much that has any specificity to it. Used revenue to address part of that. That revenue expires on June 30th. We're not here looking for $2 billion. You didn't raise $2 billion. You raised far less than that. And the difference is the cuts. Had I not cut money, we would still have a $2 billion problem. But I have a complete list of cuts that I'm happy to give you, all of state general fund dollars. And it adds up to more than $600 million.
I guess maybe my definition of a cut is different than yours. I mean, a $600 million cut, I would think, would be a reduction in state general fund dollars from one year to the next. And what I'm looking at is $8.7 billion in fiscal year 16, 9.1 in fiscal year 17, 9.4 in fiscal year 18 appropriated. I don't get the $600 million cut. Well, I'll show you the list, and one of the things you're not taking into consideration are the required services that are imposed on us by law that we have to fund that go up every year. So if you, I mean, I can explain it to you. I can't understand it for you, and I'm not trying to be ugly about that. But it's more. No, but I'm not trying to be. It's more than just the difference in state general fund. You've got to look at the increases in state services that are required by laws that you all have passed and you haven't repealed them. And so it's not as easy as simply adding and subtracting one year's numbers to the next. You've got to really get into those numbers. But I have the list of more than $600 million in cuts. I'm absolutely happy to give them to you. That would be great. I would love to see that because I do believe that that $600 million in cuts cannot be you adding to your wish list or adding inflation and then cutting. That doesn't count as a cut. That's not what we did. Less in state general revenue when you compare one year to the next, and I don't see it in the numbers that have been provided by our fiscal staff.